And these two arrive at the top of the stretch. They've separated themselves by 5. Maximum Security all in toward the inside. King for a Day, a final furlong, greets Maximum Security, who's just a half length in front. King for a Day on the outside, going to make him earn it at the 16th pole. It's a question of who wants it more. King for a Day forges to a narrow advantage. Maximum Security has been defeated. King for a Day by a length. Maximum Security second. Direct Order was third, fourth, Last Judgment.
All right, welcome back to Haskell Profile here on Racing Rundown. Now we're moving on to King for a Day, the surprising horse from the Pegasus Stakes that upset the disqualified Kentucky Derby winner Maximum Security. And really, aside from that, King for a Day hasn't done a whole lot in his racing career. I'm just going to cut to the chase right now. I mean, he won his maiden race in his second try back in October of last year, then was fourth in the Kentucky Jockey Club over Signalman, Pluquet Parfait, and Lemonite. Neither of those, the second or third horses, have not really... Actually, none of the horses in that race have turned into anything really that good. Signalman was okay, and that's really it. Then he won the Sir Barton on Preakness Day, the undercard for the Preakness, and then last time out, upset Maximum Security in the Pegasus Stakes. And I think a lot of people are going to look at that Pegasus Stakes and mistakenly think that King for a Day could do it again. I have not bought into King for a Day that much off of his run in the Haskell. In the Pegasus Stakes going into the Haskell. I just don't really know what kind of horse King for a Day is. And it's very easy to go up against a heavy favorite like Maximum Security in a race. And I say a heavy favorite, but I want to describe Maximum Security a little bit more. A heavy favorite, but not a horse that's invulnerable. And that's what Maximum Security is. He was a heavy favorite in that race, but he had a way that he could get beat, and King for a Day did exactly what he needed to do to beat Maximum Security. And since then, King for a Day has really felt like the trendy horse that a lot of people really think is a horse that is ready to come on the scene. I'm not ready to buy it yet. I'm not buying stock on King for a Day right now. I want to see him run against this field in the Haskell, because as I was beginning to say, it's very easy to run up against a vulnerable horse, but that is still a heavy favorite, and beat them at their own game, which is basically going up to him, challenging him, making him go faster than 111, which is what I've always said is the cutoff time for Maximum Security. And I think that's why King for a Day won the Pegasus Stakes. And I mean, jury's still out on how good Maximum Security is. I think he's the leader in the 3-year-old class right now. I think he's the best 3-year-old in the country. But who knows? Maybe Maximum Security, like horses tend to do, maybe just peaked at the Florida Derby, was able to have enough from there to win the Kentucky Derby. Neither of those two races were that physically exerting. I mean, it would not surprise me, I should say, if Maximum Security did already peak this year and maybe has lost a step. I'm not going to say that Maximum Security has gone there, because he's only won one race against a 6-horse field that someone beat him the only way that you really can beat Maximum Security. So all that being said about King for a Day, I am going to put it out there that I think, King for a Day, probably of the horses that aren't Maximum Security or Mucho Gusto, because those are my top two, I would probably say he's the next best of the horses that are running in the Haskell. I don't really like Jovia that much, and I'm not buying why Everfast is getting all the attention because he ran second in the Preakness, and that's why he's getting all the attention, because he ran second in the Preakness. I'm not really buying that on Everfast. But not to get sidetracked from King for a Day, the other thing about him is he drew the rail in the post-draw, so that's not ideal for him. Again, it's not like a death sentence in this race, but just another reason why I don't think that King for a Day is necessarily in the best position to win this race. I mean, I don't necessarily think that he's that good of a horse either, but, I need to see more from him, because I haven't really seen too much of him. I mean, He has won both of his starts this year as a 3-year-old, so you can give that to him, and that's why I am not counting him out in terms of being able to win this race and being a solid horse because he has won both times this year. But I need a larger sample size for King for a Day, and I'm not ready to start handing him a race. A Grade 1 race, a Breeders' Cup win, and you're in, because he beat Maximum Security the only way you really can beat him, in a race that didn't really have anything else in it besides Maximum Security and King for a Day, and then a bunch of duds. So, with that being said, I think King for a Day, while I don't think he's not my win pick, and I don't really want to buy into all this hype around King for a Day off of a couple of wins in ungraded stakes races, I am still going to give him a chance. I think he could win this race. Again, he's not my pick, and I don't really think the odds are that good, but he can win. I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck here, because every horse can win this race, but reasonably can win this race is what I should say. I'm not really buying into all that right now. If he wins this race, definitely I will take a serious look at King for a Day, but right now, I'm going to hold off, pump the brakes a little bit, and let's see him actually run against a field that's definitely going to be probably the best field he's run against since the Kentucky Jockey Club. So, I will see you guys in the next video of Haskell Profile, probably going to be about Everfast, just because I feel like talking about Everfast next. So, you got that to look forward to. Once again, you know all the places you can find us: iTunes, Spotify, newly on iHeartRadio. I talked about that in the Mucho Gusto video. We are now on iHeartRadio. You can also follow us on Twitter, Rundown Racing, Instagram, Racing Rundown Podcast, and remember to subscribe on YouTube. So, I will see you guys, like I said, for Everfast, coming up pretty soon.
Turning for home now after 6 in a minute, 10.36 into the stretch, where it's King for a Day, opening up 3 lengths, VIP Ticket out of the center of the track, and Tone Broke battling out there for second, a furlong left to run. King for a Day, holding sway by 2, Tone Broke trying but second best to King for a Day, who'll rule supreme in the Sir Martin. King for a Day, and John Velasquez from Tone Broke second, VIP Ticket, Try for Gold, and Top Line Growth.